Welcome back, guys. For the longest time, industry giants have sought after the holy grail. One device to rule them all, and in the darkness, bind them. This dream has manifested in many forms, such as laptops, smartphones, and tablets from every manufacturer. So today, we're going to look at Samsung's Galaxy Tab S4, the latest of their Android tablet offerings. So let's see if this one hits the mark. Android has always been on a bit of a rocky path in the tablet space. No manufacturer has been able to replicate the financial success of Apple's iPad or Microsoft's Surface Pro. And most of the time, it's not for a lack of trying. The Galaxy Tab S4 is Samsung's latest attempt at getting it right. Fourth time's the charm, right? Like always, Samsung cares about its presentation. It comes nicely packaged and includes everything that its rivals typically ship with in their tablets and 2-in-1 devices, with one exception. The Tab S4 includes the S Pen stylus. A nice little bonus, especially for those who are used to buying every accessory separately. In terms of the actual tablet, however, it's a nice looking device, with fairly thin bezels and a big bright display. My one complaint with its aesthetics is both the front and the back is covered in glass, which makes it look great when it's clean, but that quickly deteriorates when your fingerprints get all over it. The tablet comes in only 2 versions. The base model at 870 Canadian for 64GB of storage, and a higher end model for $1,000, which bumps the storage up to 256GB. Both versions have 4GB of RAM and a Snapdragon 835, and while it isn't the fastest processor in the market, it does hold up quite well for general day-to-day use. Looking more closely at it, we can see that around the edges of the tablet we have a USB-C charging port beside a 3.5mm headphone jack, a volume rocker, power button, a set of quad speakers, a micro SD card slot to expand your storage, and finally a magnetic connector for your book keyboard cover accessory, which is sold separately for $200. At 7.1mm thick, it is exactly 1mm thicker than the 10.5-inch iPad Pro, while also being slightly heavier. In reality though, you will hardly notice a difference if size and weight are your biggest purchasing factors. With a large 7300 mAh battery inside, you'll be able to use this up to 16 hours watching videos and taking notes mixed with other light usage scenarios. The tablet also comes with a standard 2-camera setup, with the one on the front being 8 megapixels and the back with 13 megapixels. Unlike with smartphones, cameras on tablets are not often as important to its consumers, so Samsung has taken the opportunity here to not really give a crap. You won't find the amazing dual camera setup that was used in the Galaxy S9 or the Note 9. And in our tests, we found it to be acceptable in well-lit conditions, but we can't say the same about its low light performance. But thankfully, we weren't really planning to use this for our photography outings. One quick thing I want to add about the camera is that in order to fully utilize the face detection and its iris scanning features, you really have to get up close for it to work. The S Pen that is included with the tablet has been redesigned specifically for the Tab S4. In terms of looks and feel, I would have to say that Samsung did a really good job here. It feels natural to use, it's balanced when you place it on your fingertips, and most importantly, has great tracking with its soft tip. Unlike the stylus found in Samsung's Note series, the S Pen feels more in line with the Apple Pencil, the Surface Pen, and the Pixelbook Pen, which is great news for note takers and artists. The one downside of the S Pen, however, is that it doesn't function as a digital eraser when you flip it around. But then again, it does everything a digital pen should do. For those that did opt to buy the book keyboard case accessory will find it odd that it doesn't include a trackpad, which means that if you do end up plugging it into a monitor to use DeX, you will need a separate Bluetooth mouse in order to navigate. While I thought that the tablet itself was well built, I can't exactly say the same for the keyboard. With a price tag of $200, it costs more than the type cover keyboard from Microsoft Surface Pro, which not only feels better, has a nicer layout, and is backlit, and has a trackpad. It really makes it seem like Samsung has no idea how to price its products. In actual use, the book keyboard case is cramped and not very comfortable to use, and while the keys have enough depth to it, you're not going to want to type on this for long. Not to mention, the top row of the keys are very narrow, making it difficult to use without accidentally hitting something else. So if you need to input a lot of numbers, I would highly consider an alternative option. Another issue that I have with the keyboard is whenever you disconnect it from the tablet, it turns off the display. And there's really no option in the settings to prevent this, which makes it annoying when you have to quickly switch into tablet mode. One last issue that I have with the keyboard, it's very difficult to remove the tablet from the case, and seeing how it's all plastic, I question the longevity of it, especially if you remove the tablet from the case often. The only real saving grace in my opinion is that the pen holder is actually quite snug, making the pen difficult to drop. Now, before we move on to the software, there's only one more piece of hardware that I need to cover, but I almost don't want to talk about the display, because I feel like I am repeating the same words with different variations of phrasing every time I review a Samsung product. In short, it's fantastic. Measuring at 10.5 inches, the Tab S4 has a 2560 by 1600 pixel S-AMOLED display, and with its aspect ratio of 16 by 10, it's great to watch movies and videos due to the widescreen nature. It is worth pointing out, however, that the display does not have a refresh rate of 120Hz like Apple's iPad Pro line, which ultimately makes things much smoother.
The Galaxy Tab S4 would make a nice multimedia machine, but the speakers maybe prefer driving rusty nails into my ear. They were that bad.
Moving on to software, the Galaxy Tab S4 comes shipped with Samsung's flavor of Android 8.1, which isn't the absolute latest version, but it's close. Hopefully Samsung will update it to Android 9 in the coming months. So, the Tab S4 also includes a key feature that separates it from every Galaxy tablet, and that feature is DeX. Early on in this review, I talked about how manufacturers have been aiming to make the ultimate all-in-one device, and DeX is Samsung's answer to that. This feature was first introduced in the Galaxy S8 and Note 8 series, and basically the intent is to provide a PC-like experience by giving you a desktop-like interface when plugged into an HDMI monitor. While previous versions required their proprietary connector for DeX to work, like the Galaxy S9 and Note 9, the Tab S only requires a USB-C to HDMI connector to get you started, assuming of course you have a spare monitor as well as a keyboard and mouse. In the case of the Tab S4, however, DeX will also work with the book keyboard case as well as on its own. We will be releasing a separate video dedicated to DeX, but for now, what I have to say is this. It works, but it's not amazing. The biggest issue that I have with it is that there is no way to set the software to automatically go back into tablet mode by disconnecting the keyboard, though it does work the other way around. You have to turn the setting on, but connecting the keyboard or plugging it into a HDMI display will automatically start DeX. In actual use, it's not that bad, but Android apps were never built or optimized to be used like a desktop. But it gets the job done, and it can do it fairly well for what it is. Most of the time. While the goal of DeX seems to be a desktop replacement, this only makes sense if you can live in the Android ecosystem and all the compromises that it comes with. So for those that require applications that only run on Windows or Mac, this isn't a viable option. So to circle back, does the Galaxy Tab S4 hit the mark? I would say it's a solid attempt, and while it's by no means a bad product, I really don't see any reason why you would choose this over an iPad Pro or Surface Pro or even the Surface Go. While I would consider this to be the best Android tablet on the market today, the fact is, the iPad is a better tablet with more optimized apps, and the Surface Pro is a much better desktop replacement and includes a trackpad with its keyboard. I can only recommend this for those that want a desktop replacement, but hate Windows and also want a desktop-like interface, all in the form factor of a tablet. And as I said before, this can only work if all the apps you need are on Android. I also wouldn't recommend the book keyboard case accessory. It's overpriced for what it is, and it's just not a very good experience, all things considered. The only thing good about the keyboard, however, is that it fits well with a tablet and it holds the pen. So you will have to be the judge of whether or not that's worth the extra $200. Well, that's it for today. If you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up. And if you never want to miss another video, hit that subscribe button and check out our Patreon in our link below. We post new tech reviews and videos weekly. Let us know your thoughts on the Galaxy Tab S4 in the comments section down below. Bing out.